haven't run out of coffee yet. I bought in bulk months ago. I'm good for coffee for a little bit longer. Coffee is the one thing I always had plenty of. Happy Saturday, Flosstube Crafty friends. Welcome back. As you might be able to tell, I'm feeling much better today. Much more like myself. And I truly have you to thank for that. Truly. Thank you. Doing the video yesterday was, I hemmed and hawed over doing it, and then I thought, you know what? This is real life, right? We are all living through this together, and there are going to be days where even someone who generally lives fairly positively is going to feel a little down in the dumps. And I think that it's important it's shown that that's okay as well. And so thank you. Thank you to everyone out there who reached out and just made me feel cared for. I really truly appreciate it. In fact, I was helping, well, helping is maybe not the right word. Sarah and Nicholas are still, you know, I'm not arguing. There is vacuuming going on. There is tidying happening. There are things being moved from room to room. No complaints. I'm just letting them do their thing. However, I went into Nicholas's old room this morning and I was looking at the wall, and he still had his some cross stitches on his wall that actually I'd stitched for Sarah when she was a baby, and then when she sort of outgrew them, she gave them to her brother, and so they've been living in his room. And one of them struck a chord this morning, and I thought I would share it with you because I've never shared this one on Flosstube, and there are a few others, but I'll save them. So to everyone out there who reached out yesterday, thank you for unglooming me. Isn't that cute? This came from I think it was a Stony Creek booklet of Winnie the Pooh, you know, not the classic Winnie the Pooh, but the Disney Winnie the Pooh characters. And this was one of 4 extra little ones that I stitched in conjunction with a large piece. The 4 small ones I did on Ada, and the large piece, the large main piece I stitched. It was my very first time stitching on an even weave. And maybe I'll share that on Monday. But I thought this was appropriate for today. Thank you for unglooming me. Isn't that cute? I always loved Eeyore. I always wanted to cheer him up. So thank you. Thank you guys. Truly, really feeling a lot better today. So let's talk about our daily craft. What have you been working on? Have you been keeping yourself busy? Keeping yourself occupied, pawing through your whips, your stash pile, all that kind of good stuff? I have been doing quite a bit of sewing for the shop, for Evertote, but I have managed to do a little bit of stitching. I did some stitching last night during our Friday Off the Grid stitching party. I worked solely on Savon, and goodness, every time I show you this, I think, oh, they're not going to think I did anything. But I did. Look, we're kind of on a slope now because I worked exclusively over here. I think you can see, yeah, there. I worked exclusively over on the right hand side. Do you see this diamond right there? I think I've got, yep, right there. Right there. See how it's in line with this one? Well, when I first stitched it, it was 2 squares too high, and I had already done some of the black fill-in. So I had to do a little bit of surgery on a couple of those black stitches and remove them so that I could restitch the gold diamond in the proper spot. And so that's actually really easy to do. I've done it on a Stitch With Me video before, but you know, lots of people don't watch the Stitch With Me videos. So if you need to remove only a couple of stitches that is in amongst a whole bunch of stitching that you don't really want to rip out, and you only need like 1 or 2 to be removed, what you can do is very carefully take your scissors and snip the top leg of the stitch that you want to start where you want to remove it, and then carefully then unpick that one stitch, and then the stitches on either side of it. So what I ended up doing was I removed 3 stitches from the center there, because what that does is it gives you enough thread on the back to anchor one on each side, so that you can anchor those ends, and then you can just refill that in. And how you anchor that, it's very simple. There's a product called a star detailer, and I know that I believe Stitcherista has done a tutorial video on the star detailer. So if you want to go and look up that video, that might be more helpful than me just describing to you what happens. But basically, if you don't have a star detailer, you can just use a length of a discarded piece of floss. All you do is you double it, so you loop it, and then you stick the 2 ends through the eye of the needle, so that now you have basically threaded a loop of floss. And then you go to the back of your work and you start to sew in that needle as if you were about to bury the loop, quite close to where the end of what you're trying to repair is. And then you pull the needle through, but the loop is still on the other side, okay? So if you can visualize this with me, the needle is now out on the left, and the loop is on the right, if you're going that way. If you're going the other way, obviously, it would be reversed. And then what you do is, through that loop of floss, you're going to take your fingers and pull that little teeny bit of end, the repair end, through the loop. And then you're going to take the needle and start to pull that loop through and underneath the stitching that is already is done. And then what that loop will do is that loop will pull the end along with it as it travels underneath those stitches, thereby securing the loose end of the floss that's really quite short, right? And that way you don't have to rip out maybe 100 stitches, you can just rip out 3. And so that's what I did. And so I did that repair job. You're not going to be able to see it, but I had to do one end on this side and one end on this side, and then I was able to go ahead and continue on with my stitching there. So I also did some more fill-in in the center. I started my next motif here. What else? Quite a bit of black and 797 fill-in over here. Oh, and the border, the cream border up here on all 3 of those. 1, 2, 3. I did all of that as well. So, believe it or not, this is the halfway point right here. So I still have all of this to duplicate up top. So, loving it. However, I was kind of itching to get something else out last night. So, I'm not going to be recording a video tomorrow. I'm spending the entire day in my pajamas watching I Love Lucy with my family. More about that in a minute. But I thought I would pull out a whip that I haven't worked on in a long time that I love. And this is good old Karen Kluba, beautiful designer, Rosewood Manor. Corners and Curves. And I know many of you will remember me working on this. It's been a year. Has it been a year? Just over a year? January of 2000, I think it was January of 2019 was the last time I worked on this. It's absolutely stunning. I don't have it with me, but I have actually completed the companion welcome piece that's on the back. I have completed that. Haven't framed it or finished it yet, but oh, that reminds me. This weekend is Amy Baruch's birthday. If you're on Instagram, you might be already following Amy at Amy Baru, and she also has a needle minder business, buttons and all kinds of really beautiful things, and she's just a lovely person. I met her last year in New Jersey at the New Jersey Flosstube retreat, and she's a good soul. And it's her birthday this weekend. So Amy, I don't know if you're watching this, but if you are, happy birthday. I hope you're celebrating this weekend the way that you were hoping to, which was to be finishing up some whips, as in fully finishing up some whips. And so Amy's having a finishing finish along this weekend to help her celebrate her birthday. So if today is Saturday, you've still got a day left. If there's maybe a small pillow or pincushion or something that you were hoping to fully finish and you're on Instagram, maybe hop on over and check out Amy's. I know a few other stitchers have posted about it as well. So if you're following Michelle Bendy or Diana, It Is Kismet, I think that they're also participating this weekend. Off the top of my head, I haven't been on Instagram a whole lot lately. Trying to keep social media to a dull roar in the background of my day, though. You know, for all of the cute puppy stuff and all of that kind of fun stitching stuff on the Facebook group, the Friday After Good Facebook group, that's been wonderful. So always happy to see that. But there's a lot of other stuff on Facebook at the moment that, you know, I'm just trying to limit it as much as I can. So are you ready to see? Here's where I got to when I put it away. So I have completed, I basically have the bottom, I want to say I have the bottom border done, but that's not really true because it isn't really a border. But that is the width of the stitched piece. So that motif right there is fully complete. And the squirrel, there is one more border on this side of the squirrel that I haven't completed just yet. But I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my hoop, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to work this motif that's here, just above that blue border there. And that is going to look like that. It's that one right there. I think it's a good goal to aim for stitching that entire motif, because I actually have stitched that one before. It appears in the welcome sign. So it's going to be like revisiting an old friend to restitch it here. And then I'll have another, it'll feel like a mini finish, I think, if I can do that. And then I'll have a nice big chunk of that bottom section completed. So it's just so pretty. So yeah, corners and curves and Rosewood Manor. I'm stitching, this is for me, this is really big. This is a 28 count linen, 2 strands of floss, and I am using the called for, it's mostly Weeks Dye Works, I think. Is it all Weeks? Let me check. Yeah, it's all Weeks Dye Works. And when I initially kitted this up, I didn't buy quite enough. And so last January when I pulled this out again, I was taking a long hard look at my stash, realized I probably didn't have enough. So the next time I was in at Stitch It Central, I purchased a few extra skeins. So the colors might not be exactly the same as I get to them, but this design is big enough so that if once I get there and I've run out of old floss, I can always put one strand of old together with one strand of new, or I can just make sure that those two motifs aren't directly beside each other, and then I'm sure it'll be fine. It's just so pretty. So I think that I'm gonna save this for tomorrow morning. I'm going to save this for Sunday morning stitching with my coffee. So I'm excited about that. That'll be fun. So yes. So that's it for Crafty Chat for me. I have done zero knitting in the last couple of days, mostly because I've been doing so much sewing. So, it's still warm. Good. I've been doing quite a lot of sewing for the shop, which has been nice. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate all of the orders. Really, truly. It's been a wonderful way to keep the business going and still have plenty of work to do. So thank you. I Love Lucy. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the backstory on I Love Lucy is when Sarah was little, she was an only child until she was 7. So, you know, she hung out with us a lot, and John and I got really tired of watching kids shows all the time because we liked hanging out with her. We wanted to be with her, but you know, you can't. She was the kind of kid who, she didn't sleep a lot. So if she had a nap during the day, she would be up for hours. And then as she got older and she stopped napping, she still wasn't an early bedtime kind of kid. She just never was. She slept well when she was asleep, but she always had trouble getting to sleep, and she was usually quite miserable if we just, you know, tried to force her to stay in her room. So, you know, she would hang out with us and we would hang out together, and it was kind of a nice family time, to be honest with you, but we really got tired of watching kid shows all the time. So John and I thought about it, and we thought, you know, what can we watch together as a family that would be appropriate, that wouldn't drive us bananas? And so we both said, well, we could try a couple episodes. I think it was on cable or something. I don't remember. We don't have cable anymore, but way back when. I mean, this is going back at least 12, 13 years or so. So we watched a few episodes with her, and she thought it was hilarious. We thought it was hilarious. And so, you know, granted, the show was like 70 years old, right? So there's a lot of stuff in it that is no longer at all appropriate to today's society. But we found it more that it sparked discussions, you know, when Ricky puts Lucy over his lap and gives her a spanking, you know, I mean, come on, right? So, but those kind of things would spark discussions, probably, you know, fairly grown-up conversations. And I mean, age appropriate, right? Like, we're not the kind of parents who necessarily say things to our children that are beyond their level of comprehension. And so, but anyways, it would create a really interesting, funny time, because the physical humor, Lucille Ball was absolutely incredible. And so one year for Christmas, we bought her the box set of DVDs, and then maybe 5 or 6 years ago, John, what do you call it? He ripped the discs onto the computer so that we could have it on. We now watch TV through our computer, so we have them on available to watch. We haven't watched them in years, and so we've started watching them again. And last night we watched this episode where Lucy gets a pie in the face, and for the first time, I mean, and we've watched these episodes so many times, and for the first time last night, rewatching this episode where Lucy gets a pie in the face, I heard Ricky's laughter off camera, like legitimately laughing at Lucy getting a pie in the face. And it was just this moment of, you know, you're almost right there with him 70 odd years ago, in that moment where he cannot help himself but laugh at how funny his wife is. And it was really funny. And so I said something, and so we rewound it so that John and Sarah could listen to it again, and And then they heard it, and then we all had a good laugh, and it was much needed levity last night. And those are the kinds of things that we're trying to focus on as a family. And so now Nicholas is watching these episodes for the first time, and again sparking the exact same kinds of conversations that we had with Sarah all of those years ago. But so many funny, you know, we just this morning, it was the Vitamita Vegemin episode where Lucy tries to do the television commercial for Vitamita Vegemin, and I mean, it is just, you can't help but laugh. It's just so funny. It's just so funny. So anyways, I don't know if you have access to a channel or of some way to watch it. It might be worth a few laughs. Maybe remind you that that's a show that's out there that is usually suitable. If you think your kids are mature enough to discuss why certain things are no longer done in a certain way or talked about in a certain way, or you know what I mean, then there's a lot in there that I think is still it's worthwhile. So anyways, there you go. So they've just gone out, they've taken Luna for a walk, and I have taken advantage of them being out of the house to record this video, which has been a real treat. Because if you're like me, if you're an introvert like me who's used to having a quiet house for about 6 hours a day during the school week, this has been a complete shift. And I know many of you all know what I mean. So we all have, you know, for extroverted people who are having to stay at home, I know this is difficult for you. For introverted people who now have people in their home 24 hours a day, it's hard for you. This is we're all navigating a new, weird, slightly scary normal. And you know, we're all in this together, and crafting is legitimately, I think, going to get me through this. And I'm grateful for you for being there for me, and we'll get through this one day at a time. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for visiting with me today. I hope you have a good weekend. I hope that you have some time to relax, take a deep breath, put a few stitches in, maybe dig through your stash a little bit. High tea is coming up. It's right around the corner, April 1st. What high tea is that's when we start something new, something special from our stash, if we have it, that we've been saving for good, and we pull it out, dust it off, and enjoy it, and take the time to enjoy it. And so that is going to be April 1st, which is coming up right around the corner. I already have my piece chosen. I have the fabric chosen. I have the floss chosen. I'm ready to go. So bring on April 1st. That's it for me. I'm going to be not doing a video tomorrow, so I will see you on Monday for another Daily Crafty chatty video. And until then, take care and happy stitching. Bye, everybody.